According to the Chinese media, GMEN News, at the 5th Global Wealth Management Forum, organized by the Financial Magazine on February 25, 2023, the former president of China's central bank admitted that the existing pension base is not good because of the large and aging population. It makes it easy to have a shortage of pension funds and will need to rely, to a greater extent, on personal pensions to supplement it in the future. The former president was likely letting the public know, testing the waters for the new policy. China has already entered an aging society and should already have a deficit. Can the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, now expect the establishment of a personal pension system to alleviate the crisis? In this episode, we will explore this issue. China's current pension insurance system consists of 3 pillars. The first pillar is the basic pension insurance for urban and rural residents led by the government with the National Security Fund as a supplementary source. It has high coverage but not enough safeguards. The second pillar is an occupational pension led by corporate companies, etc. It has low coverage with only about 3.85% of the nation's employed population participating in corporate or occupational annuities. The third pillar is savings pension insurance and commercial pension insurance, which are voluntarily participated in by individuals. It hasn't been implemented for long, and individual participation isn't yet developed. The third pillar is the direction that the CCP is currently trying to develop. The plight of China's aging population can be seen in the following example reported by Reuters. During Mao's time, young Wang Fengqin suffered from hunger. Now a retired farm worker, she lives in a village in the northeastern city. On her monthly pension of 2,000 yuan, or about $290, Wang, who is 70, can barely afford to buy anything else. She has avoided going to the hospital for the past few months to treat her diabetes. She said a trip to the hospital to check on her worsening abdominal pain could cost $145. She and her husband need to save $5,000 a month, or about $730 in pension income for their 2 sons.
I have to help and support my sons with their finances. Why? Others say, Wang Fengqin, you are so blessed now and have 2 sons. But when they don't earn enough, you have to support them.
Wang Fengqin's 2 sons both choose not to have a second child, and the mother understands them really well.
Without money, how can you raise a child? Let's talk about daily life. You have to spend money in your daily life. That means you cannot have a second child. We have grandchildren, and we don't compare ourselves to others, but we have to make sure having food is not a problem, right? You can't go to the rubbish bins. Because of this, they wouldn't dare to have the second child. With 1 child, starting from school, the cost is very big.
Wang Jianling is a farmer in another city in the same province. He is now required to work 10 hours a day after decades of laboring when he should have lived in retirement. He is 71 years old, far beyond the retirement age of 60 for Chinese men. And this situation is common in this East China province. Wang's wife told Reuters that her husband's monthly pension of about 100 yuan, or $14.60, is forcing him to build roads and take on other odd jobs.
We have about 3 acres of land per person in the countryside. If conditions allow, you can farm it. If conditions don't allow for it, you can give it to others in the village, and someone else can farm the land and give you a bit of money. The Communist Party gave us around 100 yuan, or $14.60 a month.
Heilongjiang Province is part of China's northeastern Rust Belt, a region that for decades stood out for its low birth rates and a relatively high proportion of elderly residents, a consequence of market reforms in the 80s. The The reforms changed the fortunes of what used to be China's industrial heartland, causing mass deindustrialization as factories moved southwards and much of the working-age population followed. A shrinking workforce led to declining contributions to the local government's pension budgets, which has to support a growing number of elderly. Technical talents all went to work in southern cities as they pay more money. In earlier days, Heilongjiang had so many big factories, nowhere else in the country could compare to it. Now they are all demolished. Nowadays, Heilongjiang runs the largest pension deficit of all 31 provincial-level jurisdictions. It also has the lowest birth rates and among the smallest average pension incomes. According to official data, there were just over 100,000 new births in 2021, versus around 460,000 deaths in the province. The pension income per capita in Heilongjiang is close to 39,000 yuan per year, about half of that in Beijing or Shanghai. Rural pensions, however, can be as low as 100 yuan or less than $15 a month in China. In fact, the pension replacement rate in China is very low. For example, if the monthly salary before retirement is 5,000 yuan and the salary after retirement is 2,000 yuan, then this replacement rate is 40%. The World Bank once recommended that to basically maintain the pre-retirement standard of living without decline, the pension replacement rate should not be less than 70%, and the Convention on Minimum Standards of Social Security issued by the International Labor Organization in 1994 mentions that 55% is the warning line for the pension replacement rate. So what is the average pension replacement rate in China? A research report by Zheshang Securities in August 2022 pointed out that China's basic pension replacement rate was low. Its first pillar replacement rate was about 36.2%. It is fair to say that China's pension replacement rate is significantly below the alert level and is at the bottom of the global scale. However, China's pension replacement rate for civil servants and related industries has been maintained at a high level of 80% to 90%. A professor at the Chinese University of Finance and Economics once calculated that from 1995 to 2002, the overall pension replacement rate for Chinese civil servants was maintained at 92% to 107%. This is the complaint of a protester against healthcare reform. More of her brilliant speech will be shown in another episode.
We are already at the bottom of the pile. Our wages are already the lowest. You all know how much civil servants get paid. At least 1,000 or 1,100 US dollars to start. We save money to pay for the Social Security. Currently, we can collect a pension for the first year, only 187 US dollars a month. I can show you my pay stub. Not everyone is paid so little, but we're at the bottom of the ladder. We're the kind of participants who have flexible employment. I know people who start at over 1,000 US dollars and some who start at over 1,500 or 3,000. The pension is already very unfair, but now they want to squeeze 2/3 of our low income. This is robbing us, stealing the money from us, the people. Tell me, is this reasonable or unreasonable?
On January 13, 2023, a public social media account of municipal government in Jiangxi province posted a message saying that the basic pension for the city's retirees had been paid for the month of January. According to the amount of money revealed by this post, the per capita pension of civil servants in the city is 5,080 yuan per month. The per capita pension of enterprises retirees is 2,368 yuan per month, and the urban and rural resident insurance is 207 yuan per month. The per capita pension paid to the retired staff of the government and institutional sector is about 25 times more than that of the ordinary urban residents. Chinese netizens immediately became angry. They commented that the difference between CCP members and Chinese can be seen from the tens of times difference in pension. Another wrote, "This is a Tier 4 small city. When you look at big cities and at the provincial, ministerial levels, the difference is scary." Data from the Chinese Ministry of Finance showed that 11 provinces are already running pension budget deficits, and the state-run Chinese Academy of Sciences projects that the pension system will run out by 2035, with a staggering $1.15 trillion to $1.44 trillion shortfall in the next 10 years. We believe that the reality is much worse. The bottom of the Chinese pension system is likely to be reached before 2035. This is evident from the current abrupt reduction of health insurance for the elderly by many local governments.
This month, the money was reduced in our health insurance cards. We're pretty unsatisfied. Before reducing the money, the authorities should have asked for our opinions.
People's health insurance credits have been cut by 2/3, and it's not just in the Rust Belt of northeastern China. In mid-February, retired seniors in central city Wuhan and southern city Guangzhou took to the streets to protest the reduction of health insurance that's modest to begin with, and the scale of the protests was rare. These protests are also known as the Gray Hair Revolution. So why are pension funds in China having such a serious deficit? The main reason has to do with the existence of a huge bureaucratic system and party affairs system. Of the entire Chinese Social Security Fund, the civil servants and related agencies, as well as state-owned enterprises, consume a huge amount of Social Security resources. This group of people doesn't pay a corresponding percentage of Social Security premiums, but is supported by the masses of people who are relatively poor. In addition, under the extremely corrupt system of the CCP, it is difficult to say whether some forces have gotten their hands on public funds. As we covered previously, the rate and scale of aging in Chinese society are unprecedented. According to the standards defined by the international community, the aging rate of society is calculated according to the ratio of 65-year-olds to the population. 7 to 14% is an aging society, 14 to 20% is an old age society, and over 20% is a super-aged society. Back in September 2022, China's National Health Commission held a press conference to report on the work of the senior population. The data it revealed showed that China's elderly population aged 65 and above reached 191 million in 2020, accounting for 13.5% of the total population. We suspect that this ratio of 13.5% instead of 14% was carefully crafted. The reason is that reaching 14% means that China is officially an old age society. Meanwhile, the National Health Commission expects that around 2035, China's elderly population aged 60 and above will exceed 400 million, accounting for more than 30% of the total population, i.e., entering the stage of super-aged society. According to an earlier article in the official Chinese media, Half Moon, China will see the largest retirement wave in its history in the next 10 years, with the number of people retiring after the age of 60 increasing at an average rate of 20 million per year. A demographer from Fudan University mentioned that the potential new labor supply in China is about 17 to 18 million per year. In other words, China is losing 3 to 5 million people of working age every year. Meanwhile, China's birth rate continues to hit record lows. In 2022, China's fertility rate was 1.18, or an average of 1.18 children per mother. a record low and well below the UN recommended population replacement rate of 2.1. The population replacement rate is the number of children a couple needs to have to replace themselves during their childbearing years. On one side, aging is accelerating, while on the other, it is young people who are reluctant to have children, so China's population growth is showing a cliff-like drop. In fact, many young people in China now rely on their parents' support to survive. There is a trend in Northeast China, or a terrible behavior, it's parents subsidizing their child. If I am married now and I have a child, I probably spend 50% of my energy on the child, but my parents spend 80% of their energy. Same when it comes to money. China's current pension system is a pay-as-you-go system. Workers who pay the monthly pension insurance portion of Social Security are actually providing for the elderly of this era, rather than saving for their future retirement and the current crop of young people, whose future pension money is largely needed to be provided by the next generation of young people. According to the data reported by the Chinese Academy of State-Run Social Sciences, the current balance of pensions was already negative as of 2019 if financial subsidies were not taken into account. This means that China's pension fund is already unable to cover its expenses. An academic team in China that has been studying the population for a long time presented a report indicating that China's elderly dependency ratio will rise from 5 laborers supporting 1 elderly person in 2020 to 2 laborers supporting 1 elderly person in 2050. If there are not enough young people contributing to Social Security, the pension sources for the elderly will surely dry up slowly as well. This data was before the epidemic. After the outbreak, the situation should have gotten worse. Because at this time, China's pension system is not only directly impacted by the aging population combined with fewer children, but there's also another huge blow, that is, the government has no money and thus cannot subsidize the pension. At the same time, the economy is deteriorating rapidly. Young people cannot afford to pay Social Security insurance. It is foreseeable that this will be a dreadful, vicious circle and the negative impact will be catastrophic. In the face of a serious situation, how does the CCP plan to solve the problem of rapidly depleting pensions? One measure it took is to encourage childbirth and allow 3 children, but looking at it so far, it's going to be difficult to work. The second is to delay retirement. The CCP has explicitly proposed on several occasions to implement a gradual delay in the statutory retirement age. At present, 2 provinces have started piloting the scheme, which could provide some relief to the pressure on pensions. However, this new policy has been met with public anxiety and outrage. The third measure is to promote the third pillar, the personal pension system. In April 2022, China's State Council issued an opinion on promoting the development of personal pensions. According to this government document, personal pensions are based on a personal account system with voluntary participation and self-contribution. Contributions of up to 12,000 yuan per person per year, or about $1,700, and independent investments including savings deposits, financial products, and commercial pension insurance plans. Participants can receive a personal pension when they reach a certain age. A personal pension fund account can only be used to purchase personal pension products. This account is closed, with funds only going in but not going out, and can only be contributed to and not withdrawn in advance. At the time of retirement, the funds in this account will need to be transferred to the person's Social Security account for collection. In addition, personal income tax will be calculated at a 3% tax rate when the individual receives his or her pension. In other words, firstly, the participant's money, once put into the personal pension fund account, cannot be withdrawn in advance, and secondly, a 3% tax will be paid at the time of retirement receipt. You can see that the CCP's intention is that although the annual cap of $1,700 per year may not seem like much to the government, it is equivalent to gaining a long-term fund and collecting a 3% personal income tax at the end. As long as enough people are insured, the total amount of this pension fund will be quite substantial. Currently, several large state-owned commercial banks in China have set up specific pension savings pilot sites with interest rates slightly higher than the 5-year time deposit quoted rate of large banks, i.e., slightly higher than 3%. In reality, it is not very attractive. As for individual Chinese, they need to be more cautious about whether it's worthwhile and safe to invest in their personal pensions. After all, the CCP's policies change frequently. Once the money is put in, it is not clear whether you can get it back or not when the time comes.
Agricultural bank, pay back. Agricultural bank, pay back. Agricultural bank, pay back. Bank of Nanjing.
Return my deposit.
Bank of Nanjing.
Return my deposit. Now the bank is going to close down. Only 2,000 yuan a day is allowed to withdraw, that is, $288. How long do I have to withdraw until I can finish getting my deposit? Things are difficult,
28 depositors of 250 million yuan, that is $36 million so far, only $19 million have been recovered. 17 million are still missing. The bank's explanation that this is the theft of personal employees. The bank does not have to take responsibility. What a joke. The depositor put the money into the bank. Now the money is gone. You tell me the bank has no responsibility at all. The bank said the business is handled by the staff, but I wanted the bank to deposit money into the bank, not to the person who handled the business for us. Some netizens say that if this logic is followed, then the bank's credit card does not need to be repaid because it is also the bank's staff to help people apply. No one's money is a windfall. We deposit money in the bank for the sake of security and peace of mind, right? If ICBC avoids responsibility like this, who will dare to deposit money in ICBC in the future?
Nowadays, normal deposits in the bank can disappear out of thin air, and bank wealth management products that are supposed to protect capital can also lose substantially. If you still listen to the party and put your money in a personal pension account, who can guarantee that the money won't be lost and will be accessible in the future? It seems to us that if the personal pension system really follows the principle of voluntary participation by individuals, its development prospect will probably be very disappointing to the CCP. Think about it. If you use your own money to invest in your retirement, do you still need the CCP to provide policy guidance?